helping and shed some lights to us. As a background, I guess Dr. Zul has explained just now who are these students, and I think you are fully aware through the threads of email that being interchanged among us. So I guess without further ado, maybe with that, we would like Your Excellency to share with us around 20 minutes before we start into the Q&A sessions. With that remarks, I pass the floor to you, Excellency.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. I would like to begin by offering my deep gratitude to the Professor Tan Sri Zul Razak, the Honorable Rector of the International Islamic University, Malaysia, and to Dr. Haji Zulkifli, the Chief Executive Officer of the Sejahtera Leadership Initiative, and indeed to all of you who have gathered at the Garden of Virtue and Knowledge. That is the motto of the Islamic University that I was so happy and fortunate to be visiting about a year ago. I would also like to, in fact, greet the 11 students who have enrolled in this very important program under the auspices of Sejahtera Leadership, Hani Juma, Arif Khan, Amira Naufal, Amalina, Jana, Diana Shikin, Mariam, Ali Zawani, and Farah. I believe this is a very special group, the pioneering group of the Sejahtera Leadership Program, organized and hosted by the International Islamic University, Malaysia, under the leadership of Professor Tan Sri Zul. I've had the joy of meeting him, and also Dr. Haji Zulkifli, the Chief Executive Officer, and spending some 2 weeks at in your beautiful country about a year ago. And of course, being looked after by my very good friend, Mr. Yazdi, and everybody else. So to be able to meet again in this very special event that you've organized is a matter of great honor and joy for me. I would like to address all of you who have gathered for this event, both in Malaysia and elsewhere, if there have been any. I would like to pay my tributes to Venerable Tan Sri Zul Razak for pioneering this very important initiative. As a matter of fact, rediscovering this 2,000-year-old pathway to good life and to good society. Under your leadership and vision, I believe Sejahtera, this very important pathway for humanity and for society, is becoming a reality once again in the beautiful country of Malaysia. I would also like to thank our very able Chief Executive, Dr. Haji Zulkifli, who has been working very hard indeed to advance this very important project, this mission of Sejahtera. I would like to also offer my deep gratitude to the international panel and everybody, the supporters and well-wishers of the Sejahtera mission that is so very critical at a point like today. I know that this particular group of 11 students has an extremely important challenge before them. It's an honor to be enrolled as the pioneering batch of this Sejahtera program as you do your Master of Business Administration program in the university. I would like to hope that you find this particular program fruitful, meaningful, and purposeful. From the little that I understand about this very profound philosophy, this ideal of good life, I feel that there is a very deep relationship between Sejahtera and Bhutan's holistic development program initiated by His Majesty the Fourth King, Rugyalpo Jigme Singye Wangchuk, some 45 years ago when he was a very young king, 16 going on 17, when he ascended the throne. Sejahtera, I believe, is a philosophy, it is an ideal, but more importantly, it is a way of life. As a way of life, it is a guide to our personal. Hello?
Someone by the name of Muzaffar, I guess.
Oh,
Someone in the Zoom that need to, if anyone are following through, sorry, Excellency, there's a bit of logistical now. Someone who is following through the Zoom, can you make sure that your mic is mute? Please go on, Excellency.
Thank you so much. Today, I believe this evening is dedicated to the 11 students who have enrolled in the Sejahtera MBA program in this very important, iconic university. I would like to thank them and congratulate them for enrolling in this very important program. I would like to pay my tributes to their parents, to their teachers who have worked hard to bring them to where they are today. And I would like to also congratulate them for coming this far. I know that long ago when you first enrolled yourself in your primary classes, there may have been so many students together with you, but only so few of you have come thus far and enrolled in this very important program. I would like to wish you all a very, very fulfilling experience with this important Sejahtera journey, and hope that you'll find your time at the university as meaningful and purposeful as you wish it to be. I was saying earlier on that you are the pioneer batch, and what you do and how you do and what you make of this particular program will have a great implication on the future of this program, implication on your own organizations. I believe you represent important organizations as you work for these agencies in your different capacities. I see that some of you have a business background, others have an IT background, some of you have language background, some would have other very special human resources management background. Whichever background or whatever background you may have, whatever affiliations you may have, one thing is sure, that is that you are here because you have been motivated to undertake this very special program. Normally, MBA business students, people who are more motivated into the business programs are often not able to get access to something like literature, poetry, music, fine arts, the softer elements of our programs. But I see that the Sejahtera program has those elements that will actually make a big difference to the way we look at life, to the way we look at our work, to the way we look at our organizations. So I would like to hope that you'll find this program as meaningful and purposeful as you want to make it. I see that this program is supposed to be, particularly in your case, a student-driven, student-centered program. I have been looking at quite a lot of the assignments and the directions that have been coming to you from the management. And I'm sure that all of you have been able to make very good sense of all these and also make them intelligible to you as you pursue your courses. And I see that the curriculum, the pedagogical choices, the assessment, certification will have an extremely important element of Sejahtera. Sejahtera as a holistic, Sejahtera as an all-embracing, Sejahtera as a normative principle of education. Education today all around the world is highly mentalistic, is highly intellectual, mind-based, and it leaves out a lot of the important elements that make us who we are. We are not only intellectual beings, we are not only mental beings, we have so many elements that make us who we are. And the 10 elements, the spices that Professor Zulrazak has identified to be the guiding pathways for Sejahtera education, the Sejahtera educational ecosystem, are some of those dimensions of our life that make us a more holistic, a more integrated, a much more harmonized individual. So I see that the Sejahtera program that you are pursuing at the university would have those elements incorporated and celebrated as you pursue your studies at the university. So I'm so glad, as an educator myself, I've spent all my working life with young people like you. I know, I know that at this stage in your life, there must be so many things that would be bothering you, that would be a matter of priority for you. So even though so many miles separate us, as young people, all of you are very close to my heart, and I have the very best of my prayers and my wishes as you pursue your journey from here on and make sense of what you're doing and what you would like to do here on. As I was saying earlier on, Bhutan has been following this holistic, all embracing vision of gross national happiness. It is something like our North Star, as I've had the honor of sharing with your colleagues and members of the faculty and management at the university about a year ago. I believe that every individual must have a dream, and all of you 11 students and your friends undertaking this program are also, in fact, a package of dreams, a package of hopes. You all have your dreams, you have your hopes. 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, you would like to see yourselves somewhere doing something important, becoming somebody important, and fulfilling your life's dreams, also the dreams of your parents, dreams of your siblings, your well wishers, your teachers, your friends, and that of your societies and nations. So, as you look beyond, I see that we all need our own North Star as individuals, men, women, and children, boys and girls, youth all over the world, all of us need a North Star. All of us need a dream. Without a North Star, without a dream, we do not know which direction we are heading. Where do we want to see ourselves 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15, 20 years down the line? In the same way, nations need a dream. Nations need a North Star. So, some 45 years ago, the youngest monarch in the world then, His Majesty King Jigme Singh Wangchuck of Bhutan, looked around the world and saw that the way every nation and every government assessed progress, societal development through the yardstick of gross domestic product, told only a part of the story. It did not tell the whole story. So, if we want to get a holistic picture of development, a holistic picture of progress in our own lives, in the life of the society, in the life of the nation, we need a far broader perspective than is available in gross domestic product. So His Majesty, as young as he was, looking around the world, saw that what the world was using, what governments were using as a yardstick to assess progress was not reliable, was not complete. It did not give us the whole picture of development. So he thought that we have to make use of as many variables as possible beyond GDP, because GDP is focused mainly on material goods and services, physical goods and services, quantifiable items and quantities. But life is more than what is measurable. There are so many beautiful things in life, so many meaningful, so many precious things in life that do not lend themselves to quantification, to measurement. So, if we put everything in life through this reductionistic, exploitative, economics based yardstick of GDP, all that we're going to get is an incomplete, imperfect vision or a notion of development. So His Majesty thought that even as important as it is to use the GDP or the economics yardstick, it is even more important to look at the non-material, non-economic dimensions or elements of life. And at the end of the day, all over the world, whether we are in Bhutan or in Malaysia, whichever meridian or parallel, whichever hemisphere or continent or country we occupy or we live in, at the end of the day, the most basic desire of all human beings across time and space is to be happy. And the deepest yearning of all people across time and space is not necessarily physical or material, and that there are other elements like emotional element, the psychological element, the spiritual element, cultural, social, aesthetic, spiritual, and above all, moral and ethical elements. There are these um, the claims of our planet Earth. GDP as a measure of development does not take into account these non-economic or non-physical elements. But to make life worthwhile, to make life fulfilling and purposeful, we need to look at not only what is quantifiable and measurable, but also those elements which the heart can feel and the mind can register. That's why His Majesty felt that we must take into account these other elements. So the 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 health of the environment is important in gross national happiness. Culture is very important. Bringing about a balanced socio-economic development is important in gross national happiness. Above all, ensuring good governance. We call them the four pillars of gross national happiness. Ensuring a balanced and equitable socio-economic development, conservation of the natural environment, preservation and promotion of our culture and heritage, and promotion of good governance. These four pillars or environments are the architecture of gross national happiness. And today, some 45 years in our development, Bhutan's 5-year plan, annual plan, our our policies are all guided by the ideal of gross national happiness. We have what is called a gross national happiness commission. In the past, it used to be called the planning commission. The gross national happiness commission does, of course, the same job as the planning commissions do all over the world. Policy making, mobilization of resources, allocation of resources, and monitoring the implementation of those resources which are allocated to the different organs of the government. But any ministry or the government departments proposing a program for state funding will have to make those projects and programs compatible with the elements of gross national happiness. Are they compatible to the pillar of equitable and balanced socio-economic development? Are they compatible to the pillar of uh, conservation of our natural environment? Are they compatible with the pillar of our culture? Do they promote good governance? And if any of the programs of any ministry or department within the government does not fulfill the principles of gross national happiness, they do not get state funding. They have to revise, review, and present their programs again to the Planning Commission, the Gross National Happiness Commission, to receive state funding. In the same way, even the private sector would have to make sure that their programs are compatible with the principles of gross national happiness. It is not easy to pursue such a path. Pursuing the gross domestic product path, pursuing the GDP path is fairly easy. You can exploit all the available resources. You can mine the oceans, cut down all the trees, use up all the natural resources overnight. You can double, triple, quadruple, or quintuple your GDP, your revenue. But that is going to be extremely irresponsible, thoughtless, and mindless. There'll be nothing left for future generations, for our children and our children's children and beyond. So, a responsible and a sustainable path to developing would be to meet the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs of succeeding generations, as our wise elders have told us. So, gross national happiness as a development pathway is much more conscious of the need to protect the environment. Today, all over the world, we are talking about climate change. We're talking about global warming. We're talking about mass movements of people. There have been problems related to the abuse of our dear planet Earth. And at the end of the day, we can trace back to human action these afflictions that humanity and the world suffer today. So, if we are sensitive towards the need to protect the well being of our planet Earth will look after our human well being. That's why today Even though the pandemic is painful, it is devastating. It has wrought havoc in an unprecedented manner. Yet, I see that our dear planet Earth has been able to heave a sigh of relief. Planet Earth is greener today. The sky is bluer. The water is cleaner. The air is purer. Vegetation is greener. Plants, animals, and birds have been able to breathe freer. I think we should be able to protect, we should be able to retain and sustain this gain, the gain that has come about as a result of the reduction in human activity imposed by this pandemic. On the one hand, it is painful, but on the other, it has been very, very beneficial in terms of lessening the impact on our dear planet Earth. I call it, and I also see that around the world, there's been a lot of beautiful examples of human goodness. I see the outburst of human goodwill. I see the outburst of basic humanity, and there are people going out of their way. There is so much of caring and sharing to make some positive difference to people who are not that fortunate. People leaving food outside their homes or on the roadside for those who are not able to access them properly. I call it Revolution 5.0. This is the return of the human. This is very, very Sejahtera. This is very Sejahtera. This is very gross national happiness. These are the seeds of Sejahtera. These are the seeds of humanity. These are the seeds of gross national happiness. They promote life. At the end of the day, we don't need everything that we have around us or with us. The world doesn't need so much of material goods, so much of property, so much of commodities. We can do more with less. That is Sejahtera. That is listening to our conscience, listening to our inner voice. And any program, whether it is the Master of Business program, whether it is literature, IT, technology, science, mathematics, business, industry, music, sports, at the end of the day, they have to promote human well being. The question to ask is does it promote the goodness of life? Does it promote human well being? Does our society become better? Does our nation become better? Does the world become better? I think Sejahtera invites us to look deep inside. His Majesty, the Fourth King of Bhutan, by articulating gross national happiness as an ideal of development for the nation, invited us to look inward. We have come a long, long way. Humanity has come a long way in exploring the world, going, going beyond. It is time that we come back into ourselves. We return to ourselves. The second Secretary General of the United Nations Organization, many years ago, Dag Hammarskjöld, said that the longest journey is the journey inward. I think COVID-19 has forced us to look inward. Sejahtera is a pathway inward. Gross national happiness is a pathway inward. What happens to us? Business students, Business normally is concerned with the management of resources, external resources, physical resources, medical uh, material resources. But the physical resources, material resources are finite. They're going to end one day, sooner or later. See. But we have been going all out to explore the world, to explore the physical world. Sejahtera invites us to explore the world inside us. How to how to explore and expand the range of our beings. I think it's important as students of this very special program to look inward. We have these gifts, we have these windows, we have eyes, but they often do not see what they ought to see. We have ears that are meant to hear, but we often choose to unhear. We have eyes that are meant to see, we often choose to unsee. We have the sense of touch, a tactile sense. We have a heart that is meant to feel. Sometimes we use it to unfeel. We have a mind that is meant to think, but we often use to not think. So I think to be more human, to be more seeing, to be more hearing, to be more feeling is the ultimate goal of education, the ultimate goal of education, of development. And that is the way to flourish. How do we flourish as a human being? We flourish physically. We look after our faculties. We take care of our bodies. We remain healthy. That is important. Our faculties are the windows to the world. We understand the world. We discover the world by using our faculties. We have we have these we have these beautiful gifts: the gift of feeling, the gift of emotions, the gift of thinking. These gifts very often remain unexplored. That is why I feel it's so very important as we pursue this journey, this Sejahtera journey, to look inward. When I go and attend this class, is it speaking to me? Is it helping me to be more seeing? Is it helping me to be more feeling? Is it helping me to be more hearing? Am I becoming kinder? Am I ecologically conscious? Am I economically more fair, more just? Am I socially more sensitive? Am I intellectually more alert? What is happening to me in the course of my work in my organization? What difference can I make to my organization? What difference can I make to my class, to my club, to my society, to my nation, and thereby to the world as a global citizen? I feel Sejahtera education, Sejahtera leadership is a leadership of the self, is a leadership of moral authority, ethical leadership. It is important to be great, but it is even more important to be good. If one is good, one is naturally great. The other way doesn't work all that well. See, being great does not necessarily mean that one is good, that one is good. but being good. You have that moral authority. You can make a difference to the way things are. See, you can make your organization better, your office better, your family better, your society better. I think Sejahtera is this powerful call, just as indeed gross national happiness is a powerful call. This is not easy. Today, if you want to get high marks, you can fill up. You can fill up the the pages, tick the boxes, score, score really high grades. But that may not touch your heart. That may not move you. That may not sensitize you. That may not humanize you. So Sejahtera is a journey of humanization. It is not simply being educated and clever and knowledgeable and successful, but it is to be more human. It is to be a better human being. So Sejahtera is a pathway to humanization. Can we humanize our business? Can we humanize our industries? Can we humanize our politics? Can we humanize our economies? Can we humanize our corporations? That is the challenge that we're facing today. And perhaps COVID-19 is a reminder that somewhere along the way, the rains started beating us. We overstretched. We exceeded our limits somewhere along the line. So it's a reminder that there are limits. There are ethical boundaries. We may have crossed those ecological, ethical, economic, social boundaries. So Sejahtera is a reminder, just as indeed gross national happiness is a reminder to good life. So to all of you, dear students, who are pursuing this very important program, Sejahtera, it is like no other programs. You approach this program not only with your head, but with your head. Sorry, not only with your head, but with your heart. It is a program for soul studies. Study deep inside. Go into yourself. Dream big. Do big. And give big. Give of what you have, but more importantly, give of who you are. See, who you are is so important, maybe more important than what you have. See, Sejahtera is an invitation to discover who you are and what you can be. You can be a gift to your society. You can be a gift to your family, gift to yourself, gift to the world. That is the call, that is the power and the blessing of Sejahtera. Thank you. I think there are some questions. If there are, I'll be very happy to respond to those. I think I went beyond the 20 minutes as given. Sorry, moderator, sir.
All right, we would love to hear more, sir. There's such a beautiful lot of wisdom, advice, and I think I wish I can go back to become a student again to do the MBA, this program, given the opportunities and such wonderful reflections, Excellency, on how you see the relevance of Sejahtera and the concept that Bhutan has been pushing for, the gross national happiness index. Yeah. Moving forward, I guess with all the reflection that you have shared with us, I'm sure the students should by now be very convinced that you have made a very right decision to take this class. But in order to deepen and getting immersed more into the discussion of Sejahtera and reflections based on what Excellency have shared with us, maybe I can get some inputs or some ideas from maybe Hani first, yeah, before we open to the floor and Arif. That Excellency has put a very strong remarks. There's several remarks like Sejahtera is a way forward. Sejahtera is the inward call. Sejahtera is the invitation to the soul, which I think following the class for the past 3-4 weeks, this is what the crux of the discussions have been talked about. So how do you see that that ideas is reflecting to yourself? Not just the class, but also how do you see yourself now getting into that directions? Maybe we can start with Hani first.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Salam.
Okay. So basically, since I have started the Sejahtera classes with Prof. Zulkifli and Tantri, it has been a lot of changes, especially when it comes to my personal life as well as understanding the Sejahtera concept, especially when I have to do with the ecosystem on how to be friendly to the environment and how can we implement Sejahtera in ourselves. Like what the former prime minister, I quote from him what he said, which is dream big, do big, and give big. Yes, so that is something it really inspired me. I have inspired by all what he has shared with us, but this quote exactly get into my mind. It shows that the Sejahtera course, it is one of the right choices that I have chosen to study during my during my education journey. So I'm also sharing a lot of Sejahtera concept with my friends, and some of them they asked me if there's any online classes that will be conducted, and they were so happy to join the class. And I believe some of them are listening to me here in the class. So Sejahtera has, as I said, affected really my life. It is improving myself and making me understand the meaning of life and how can I contribute to the society and to this life in a better way.
Yeah. Thank you, Hani. Excellency, you see how you have, like within half an hour, really convinced it and they remember every word and wisdom that you've shared. Maybe you want to respond a bit, Excellency?
Ani, thank you very much indeed. It is such joy. It is such joy to meet Hani and your colleagues, Hani all the way from Libya. You know, at the end of the day, all of us, regardless of which country we are from, what dress we wear, what language we speak, what gods and goddesses we worship, the way we prepare food and do our dances and sing our songs, play our games, regardless of all those, at the end of the day, we are the same. We are members of the same human family. I remember a few lines from a famous American poet, Carl Sandburg. There's only one man in the world. His name is all men. There's only one woman in the world. Her name is all women. There's only one child in the world, and the child's name is all children. So, honey, you are my brother.
Thank you so much.
Younger brother, yes, sir. Little brother, yes. So, yes, I'm so glad that you
thank you so much.
I'm so glad that you picked up a little fragment of whatever little I shared. But certainly, there's so much you do, and I'm sure you're already making a big difference. It is so. It struck me that as a result of having started your journey with them along the Sejahtera path, there have already been some very positive changes happening in your mind. And I'm sure there's the way with your other colleagues as well. Education is a process of making meaning. It is a process of making meaning. Whether it is MBA or MSc or any other program of study, Whatever we do, we are all the time exploring meaning, trying to make sense of the world around us. So, Sejahtera, I hope will open up the universe, open up a universe that is characterized by fair play, characterized by beauty, characterized by ethics and morality, and that it is supported by the principle of sustainability. What does our world need today? We have to secure this world. This is the only world we have. It is not a perfect world. There are challenges, there are issues, but at the end of the day, it is still a good world. We have to do what we can to make it better, to improve it. And it is possible. And with young people like you coming together, sharing ideas together, and working together, dreaming together, you'll be able to make a difference. So, in fact, I'm so glad that you are taking this course. Wherever it is, whenever it is, good education is always an investment. Education is more a question of looking inward, even as we look outward. Thank you, Ani.
You're most welcome.
Okay, thank you, Excellency. If I may pick up on your last sentence that education is a journey, but I recall you say the longest journey is the journey inward.
Absolutely, yes.
Maybe we can get Arif to reflect upon that we've got like 12 weeks, I guess, in the class.
Yeah.
That it's a journey of Sejahtera. That at the end we hope to transform a person there. So how do you reflect upon that kind of like statement, advice from the Excellency that is a journey of looking to yourself and transform to someone else?
Firstly, I'm just thankful just I'm here right now. So another thing is that just the maximum MBA student, like just after the graduation, they are interested to do the MBA just because of the better salary. Sometimes.
Yeah.
So just we are not thinking about just the world. We are not thinking about just the humanity, other persons. We are thinking about just our own. We have to buy a house. We have to buy a Lamborghini, something like that. So we need to make our life. Just after that, just we have to die. But we are not thinking about just the humanity. Like you already said, just what will be impact about this 10 weeks or 12 weeks. Like it before we think about it, just we are thinking about our own self. But after just the 2-3 classes, we can think about it. Just as a person, just we should think about the humanity to the other persons, and it will be reflect. I think just all student will be agree about it. Like we should do something for the other person, not for the own. Like already COVID-19 already teach us, like we don't need to take every day just that we need to buy a big house. We don't need just a big car. We have to survive just, and we have to serve ourselves.
Okay. If I may also get response from Excellency, I think you have also moved Arif to another level as well, from a person doing MBA for better salary. Now he's thinking of bigger picture and bigger role of getting into the agenda of getting to be more human and looking into inward journey itself. If you can give a bit of comment to that, Excellency.
Thank you so much indeed, Arif, from Bangladesh. So good to meet you. Very close neighbor and friend, Bangladesh. Yes. There are many functions of education and many outcomes. I see, to crystallize, to distill those two outcomes, I use two words. A process of education must result in the individual becoming useful. So usefulness is an important outcome of learning, but that is not all. There is another important outcome that I call graceful. So usefulness and gracefulness are the two important outcomes I would like to see in an educated person. Useful as you as you pursue your studies, complete your studies, you have to get into a gainful employment. That is the goal of most of our young people. You have to be able to look after yourself. So you should be useful to yourself. You have to be useful to your family, useful to your society, useful to your nation, useful to your organizations, and useful to the world. So, is what I'm learning today making me useful to myself, useful to my family, to my organization, to my society? This is one question you might like to ask every day. See, I'm learning something. I have 12 weeks to do this course. In the course of these 12 weeks, is what I'm learning useful? This is a question. But this is not the only question. We have to ask, am I maturing? Am I becoming better as a human being? We are human beings, Homo sapiens, the most highly evolved of all species. The human species is the most highly evolved of all the other species. Imagine the world that we have made, the inventions, the discoveries, all the beautiful things, art, architecture, literature, music, our homes, our lives, all the beautiful things that humanity has made to make the world a better place. So human beings are able to do so many beautiful things. So the second part of my question outcome is gracefulness. As a human learner, as a human being, am I becoming better, more sensitive, more refined, more civilized? So civilizational virtues, the virtues of refinement, the virtues of being cultured, being being able to relate with others, work in a team, work as a cooperating member of the group, of the family, of the societies. How graceful am I in my relationship? How graceful am I to with other people, with my classmates, with my faculty, with my institution? How graceful am I to, to even non-human beings? How graceful am I to the resources that I use? How graceful am I to the environment? How graceful am I to planet Earth? How graceful am I to the air that I breathe to remain alive? How graceful am I to the water that I have to drink? How graceful am I to the land, to the sea, to the sky, everything around me? See? So that is a tall order, but it is a question of sensitivity. See? To the extent that we are mindful, thoughtful, and humane and graceful to everything around us, to that extent, the world becomes a better place. So, employability is important. Employment is important. Getting a big salary is important. Excuse me. Becoming somebody big in the society is important. But that is only part of the stories of our evolution. as human of the species, we have to be better. Imagine all the other people who do not have your your opportunities. They cannot they cannot they cannot make much of a difference, but you have more opportunities than others who can make a difference. So even as you get good jobs, gainful employments, earn a big salary, and rise in the society, at the same time, to the extent that you rise, to the extent that you own and possess more, to that extent, you have to be able to make a difference. So the outcome of long years of education is usefulness and gracefulness. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. That's very sharp message and deep usefulness and gracefulness. Together with us, Excellency, there is a number of people joining us via Zoom. I think you spoke to him initially in the beginning, Ambassador Pascal. If he is around, if Ambassador, Excellency, are you around? Are you still around? Would you like to share some lights and also give questions for the Excellency? Ambassador Pascal, are you still around? If you would like to speak, can you mute yourself and then throw the questions to us?
I can see His Excellency Pascal on the screen.
Around?
Yes. The Honorable Ambassador is still there.
Is he still around?
Okay. Oh, yeah. I can see him there.
But unmute, please. He's talking, but I'm not muted. He's muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here am I. Here am I. Apologize for this, Minister. Thank you so much for this. And I feel really privileged for the opportunity to join you and to be inspired by your inspiring talk, and very grateful to the International University to allow me to join. What do you want me to say? There is nothing to say. Huh? Everything has been said, and from the deepest of the heart. Just something that I want to share maybe with the students. If you have noticed, students, dear students, what is a recurrent pattern or a topic in the talks, in the thoughts that has been shared by the minister is action. We have to do it. We have to be grateful. It's not only to think about gratefulness or to say, yeah, we have to be grateful and that's it. No, we have to do it, and we have to do, I would say, every single moment of the day, in every breath. And this is, of course, the most difficult. It's not to be convinced that greater things are in the smallest thing, or smallest things can make you great. But this is to do it, not only to figure out and to do it. And with this kind of training, I must admit, Minister and Tantri and students, this is the first time I hear about Sejahtera classroom meaning and so on. So I will have the opportunity later to further investigate this. And thank you also for opening my mind to this concept. We have to do it, and we have to do it when? Now. And with this kind of training, MBA business is very, I would say, very pragmatic, very rooted in the real world, or at least the material real world, because what is a real world? This is another idea. And you have a huge opportunity that you will have the tools, not only intellectual, but the practical tools to implement it. And this is really indeed a great privilege, but don't miss it. Don't miss it. The road is long. It's sometimes a hectic journey, but this is worth it. Worth it. Try to be balanced, always graceful, grateful as well, and try to be balanced in the way you conduct your life, in the way you interact with the rest of the world, with the rest of the human beings, with life. Be respectful of the others, of course, but be respectful with yourself. And for the rest, I wish you all the very best, Minister, student, teacher, and Mr. Rector.
That is so beautiful, Your Excellency. Thank you so much indeed. So very good, yes. Thank you.
Oh. Excellency Faudel, do you have anything to share in light of what Ambassador Pascal is saying, that just do it, right? Like the Nike tagline. I'm sure there's a lot of critics on GNH before they get to make it happen. So do you have anything to somehow reflect upon, to share with us, that while the world is talking about GDP, and then Bhutan keep on pushing GNH? Do you have any motivation, inspiration for us, so that ideas get to be shared with us?
Oh, thank you very much indeed. In fact, that's how it was long ago when His Majesty the Fourth King articulated this vision of gross national happiness as being more important than gross domestic product. People who knew about it or heard about it thought, oh, what a good idea it is, gross national happiness. It's a beautiful idea, but not practicable. That's how people took it. But some 4 decades down the line, the world has become a little more humble. The world has become a little more attentive, a little more listening, and a little more chastened. So the world has gone through some kind of a catharsis. It has been humbled by experiences. Even the most advanced countries now know that the conventional model of a progress measured by GDP is not sustainable. It is exploitative. It is reductionistic. It has limits. So there ought to be alternative ways of looking at progress. So the Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030, actually is a kind of a looking inward into development. As a matter of fact, His Majesty, our present king, appointed a high-level expert group involving some of the finest minds around the world, including some of the Nobel laureates, to prepare a framework for the post-MDG 2015 period. 2015, the Millennium Development Goals, of course, ended in 2015. What is going to happen after 2015? So, as the United Nations organization was thinking about the next steps, His Majesty the King of Bhutan appointed a high-level international experts group to prepare a framework. And a lot of the items, agenda items, among the 17 goals under the auspices of Sustainable Development Agenda 2030 have actually been inspired by Bhutan's proposal to the United Nations that environment is going to be important, equity is going to be important, good governance is going to be important, looking after equitable distribution of resources is going to be important, poverty reduction is going to be important, the health of the planet is going to be important, human health is going to be important, cultural resilience is going to be important. So the world today is listening, and we have had quite a few international conferences on gross national happiness in different parts of the world. Brazil, Canada. In fact, Canada hosted the second biggest international conference on gross national happiness. The second country to host the international conference on gross national happiness was Brazil. Brazil went to the extent of making a change in the constitution to include pursuit of gross national happiness as a basic human right. And in the United Kingdom, the welfare economics, the former king of Thailand, His Majesty Adulyadej, a self-sufficiency economy, even in France, all over the world, there's been a kind of a reawakening. And in fact, Bhutan's proposal to include pursuit of happiness as an important goal of the United Nations organization was endorsed by all the 193 members of the United Nations without a dissenting voice in 2011. So that's why March the 20th every year is celebrated as the International Day of Happiness. So around the world, there is an awakening that the conventional path to development is not going to be sustainable. The world has seen it, and there's a new understanding that what Bhutan is doing, what the small country is doing, is something that is worthwhile. The SAARC countries in the region and further beyond, including at the United Nations organization, there is a far greater appreciation of this development pathway that Bhutan has adopted and articulated. I must also here in fact, mention that even though we in Bhutan pursue this North Star called gross national happiness, we have no illusion about the challenges about following this pathway. As I said earlier on, pursuing the GDP path is fairly easy. It is basically exploiting the objective world, exploiting the material world. But when you are trying to explore the resources that are within us, within our societies, within our cultures, within our spiritual traditions, within our cultural traditions, moral, ethical boundaries, that's far more difficult. But we believe that even though the journey ahead may be difficult, we have to get on the journey. In the same way, pursuing the Sejahtera path is going to be far more difficult than pursuing the conventional beaten track. Beaten track is so much more easy. It is so much easier to lead the horse in the direction it is going, see. But if you try to turn the horse, it will be very violent. See. So the GDP path is the path that we have got used to following, and we have seen the limits. If we do not turn around, if the world doesn't think about alternative ways of organizing our lives, organizing our societies, organizing development, a time will come when Mother Earth will not be able to sustain us. We have already seen that. The air is becoming unbreathable in many parts of the world. See. Water is becoming undrinkable. See. Life is becoming unviable. See. The earth is becoming extremely sad. See. That's why the lessons are in front of all of us. Bhutan knows that it is a difficult path. However, following the right path may be more wise and sustainable than following the easier path, economically more lucrative path. But I think it's about time that the world started reflecting on how much longer can we go on exploiting the finite resources of the earth, bringing about inequities beyond description, see, making the world unsustainable. See. That's why Sejahtera, gross national happiness, as difficult as they are to pursue, we have to get on this alternative route. The options are very limited. So that's why we do not claim that what Bhutan is doing should be followed by everybody. But we feel that if it works here, and if people know that this might be a viable path, it could be something that countries and nations can perhaps examine. But certainly we feel that we all need a North Star. See, we may not get to the North Star in one lifetime, or in 2 lifetimes, or in 1 generation, but it is like the promised land. See, we may not get there right away. See, but we have to get on the way. See, we have to get on the journey. See, so one day, even if we are not quite there, we might be somewhere close to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. I'm sort of a bit speechless listening to what you said, and I can see Hani keep on writing every words that you have said. Maybe it's about time to open to the floor. Dr. Zul, if I can also invite anyone from the floor, any students who would like to ask any question, if you can share one portable mic for the students to pose any questions.
I will take attendance here. I have the names.
Oh, yeah, you said it very nicely just now, Excellency. Farah is around, I guess. Naufal is around.
Great.
Can you cite your name first? Yeah.
I wish I could see them, but I can hear them. Oh, yes.
Is there any camera that the students can go to? Or the camera will come to you. Okay, fine. You get to see her, Excellency.
Farah.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Hello, Excellency.
Hello.
My name is Nurul Ashikin. I'm 5th semester student for Master of Management. Can you hear?
I can hear, yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Before that, allow me to share something. I have got this in the internet. Here are some interesting facts about Bhutan. There are no homeless people at all. Education and healthcare are free. Bhutan is fast moving towards becoming first country in the world to be 100% organic. And there are no traffic lights at all. So my question to you, can you please share how was it? How was the acceptance of the people in the beginning when you decided to go for the gross national happiness instead of focusing on the other platform? Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Shikin. Yes. In fact, in Bhutan, the institution of monarchy, the position of His Majesty the King is sacrosanct. We revere our king. We revere the institution of monarchy. Monarchy is the principle of national unity. It is the instrument of national cohesion and harmony. In 2008, we introduced democracy. Even democracy came to Bhutan not through the demands of the people or popular demands. His Majesty the Fourth King, in his wisdom, decided that Bhutan must go democratic. So perhaps it is the first time in the world, in monarchical traditions, that a very popular, highly revered king decided that he should give up that absolute power in his hands. When he was at the peak of his fame, he was only 51 years old when he abdicated the throne and handed over the throne to our current king. But in 2008, he 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 introduced democracy in the country. So whatever His Majesty, our kings, have decided and done for the people are in fact accepted as gifts. A wise king, thinking about the long-term interest of the country, would have decided on a certain course for the people and the nation. So if His Majesty has so decided, it must be good for the country. And so it has been. Gross national happiness, is something that a lot of people find very profound. It is indeed. On one level, it is very simple. On another, it is very deep. So now, most of the people in Bhutan understand the profundity and the wisdom of this national vision of gross national happiness. Even school children know this. In 2009, we introduced a program called Educating for Gross National Happiness across the education system, to be promoted through the strategy called Green Schools. So it is so natural for people to follow and go by the advice that comes from an enlightened king. A lot of Bhutan is still very rural, and several people, especially our older generation, has not been able to go to school. Yet there's deep faith in the institution of monarchy, high regard, in fact, reverence for the institution of our king. So parties will come and go, governments will come and go, but the institution of monarchy as the uniting force, as an instrument of stability and continuity, will be there. So when His Majesty the Fourth King introduced the idea of gross national happiness, it was a blessing, it was a gift. And we are so happy that we are all together in this journey. Thank you, Shikin.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, please? Introduce your name and then.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Niana. So I'm from MBA, Master Business of Administration. So as we know that youngsters, or also known as young people, is a backbone of the country. So we need to enhance and support Sejahtera value to be instilled in their development, be it in culturally, morally, aesthetically, and others. So the people who had the knowledge should share their knowledge to have a strong idea to grow together. So may I know how would we should have the most effective way to educate the youngsters? Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. As I was saying earlier on, every nation, as indeed all men, women, and children, ought to have a dream, ought to have a North Star. So each country will have to decide and identify a North Star for itself. Bhutan has identified its own North Star, gross national happiness. And it is my belief that an idea, a mission as profound and deep as Sejahtera could very well be the North Star for Malaysia. There are students from Libya here, and Libya would have to find its own North Star. There are students from Bangladesh. Bangladesh would have to find its own North Star. Each society, as indeed all individuals, have to find their own North Star. So if we are convinced that a certain path is not only viable and expedient, but worthwhile and purposeful and sustainable, we have to do what we can to advance that. And the best way we feel is through education. Education is a powerful instrument for the transformation of societies, for changing over individual lives, improvement of nations. It is so powerful. That's why in Bhutan in 2009, the Ministry of Education introduced a program of educating for gross national happiness across the education system. Because in the education system, in our schools and colleges and universities, we have collected the most precious segment of the population, our children and youth, boys and girls. They are going to be our leaders tomorrow. They're going to be our policymakers. They're going to be our diplomats, our administrators, policymakers. So if they do not know where the country is going, where's the long-term vision of the countries, if they cannot share, if they cannot be part of this dream, when they become leaders themselves, they will not be able to perform their function properly. The country may be going in one direction and the leaders may be heading in another direction. They will cancel each other out. That will be costly and risky. That's why I feel that the best way to promote a good idea, a good vision, a good dream is through the mechanism, through the facility of the education system. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have next questions? Yes, Naufal. There's questions coming from Naufal, Excellency.
Okay, Naufal, yes.
Hello, Your Excellency.
Hello.
My name is Naufal. And my question is, how does Bhutan maintain its Sejahtera values when dealing with other countries for trading or economical activities? Because some of the current trade models tend to focus less on the nations that are not really strong when it comes to trade, like the maybe smaller nations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. There was a time in Bhutan when our donor partners would provide what used to be called development assistance. And as we started opening up, we had to trade and do business with countries around the world. Until some years ago, we were a very, in fact, agricultural country, subsistence agricultural country. And even now, some 70 to 80% of our people depend upon subsistence agriculture. We have some hydropower projects that bring in revenue. We have the tourism sector that was also quite active. Of course, now because of COVID-19, that has come to a halt. But we do, even though Bhutan is a small country and very proud of, very conscious of our own ancient, rich cultural values and heritage, still, we are not stuck in a kind of a time warp. Bhutan is a progressive, forward-looking country, open to friendship and partnership with countries around the world. We are a member of the United Nations organization and several other regional and international bodies. So we are a part of the global family of nations. So we cannot withdraw and remain on our own. We do trade, we do business with countries in other parts of the world. But what happens is that, as I was saying earlier on, initially the it was the model was development assistance, development assistance, assistance to develop Bhutan's infrastructure, our roads, our financial institutions, our bridges, our service delivery infrastructure. But over a period of time, our development partners knew that Bhutan's culture, Bhutan's heritage, Bhutan's worldview, Bhutan's outlook was, is different, and that has to be respected. So even when we get assistance, now the term that we use is assistance development. In the past, it was development assistance, and later on it became assistance development. That is, shaping development aid up to suit the unique aspirations and cultural heritage of Bhutan. So our development partners are very conscious of the need to respect Bhutan's uniqueness, and accordingly, they will provide assistance in those areas identified as priorities by Bhutan. And if there is anything that affects our culture, our environment, our worldview, that is something that we examine very carefully. In fact, there have been times in the past when the government of Bhutan has rejected assistance if they did not fit the normal priorities of the government, even though that assistance would have been economically useful to Bhutan. So it was basically a question of weighing between sacrificing our important values and getting economic or material assistance. So we have been quite conscious about the need to examine the integrity of assistance that we receive in Bhutan. So so far it has worked so well. Countries around the world, our development partners, have been so very generous, and at the same time they have been so appreciative of Bhutan's uniqueness, and that is something that we deeply appreciate and honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. It's obviously not an easy journey.
No.
We have one last question from the floor. Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Hello. Hi. Hi, Excellency. My name is Ellie. Eliza.
Eliza.
Okay. Okay. Hi. My question is, if we have any changes in a country, especially in Malaysia, the youth will respond drastically. So how the youth, the group of youth in Bhutan respond on the changes or any changes that you make in Bhutan? So I want to know the situation of youth in Bhutan, since we are still in the group of youth in Malaysia. Thank you, the Excellency.
Thank you very much indeed, Alizawani. Yes. As I mentioned earlier on, young people, I've spent so many years of my life with young people, and I have followed their life. I follow them in their upbeat moments. I follow them in their down moments, in their sunshine, in their rain. So I know our youth very closely. And to that extent, I have great love and respect for youth all over the world. If any youth anywhere in the world turns out to be good and successful, that is a blessing to the world. And for us in Bhutan, as indeed in all societies, our youth are so very precious. Our population is very small. We are not even 1 million as a country. Our total population is something like 750,000 only. Our country itself is very small. So every single Bhutanese, every single child, every single man, woman, and child in Bhutan is very precious. And of course, young people all over the world are the same, aren't they? They want to experiment. They want to venture out. They want to try things out. They want to celebrate the expanding horizon of their universe. And fair enough. They have to enjoy their life. But at the same time, our young people are deeply, deeply patriotic. They love our country. Today, a lot of our young people travel around the world. They go for studies, they go for training, they go for workshops, seminars, they go for holidays. But at the end of the day, all our youth return home. We may have very few young people who have traveled abroad to study and stayed back there. See, the vast majority of our young people come home at the end of the day and excuse me, and want to take part in the building of our nation. Every young Bhutanese would like to play a part, big or small, in the building of our nation. We are still building our nation, as indeed nation building is a continuous process. It is a multi-generational, it is an intergenerational process. Every generation has to do its part in the building of the nation. I'm sure it is true of Malaysia. See. There's no end to nation building. Every generation adds to the building of the nation. And so our Bhutanese youth, of course, they love the internet. They love their mobile phones. They love sports and games. They love to watch movies. They want to celebrate their youth. But at the same time, they're deeply, deeply patriotic.
If it's not okay.
They want to participate in the building of the nation. That's why, as an educator who has spent all my life with them, I'm very proud of our youth. For example, at this point in time, I'm so humbled and so happy to see my students running this country. The Prime Minister, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, our district administrators, our policymakers, planners, doctors, engineers, professionals, all these people are fairly young, see, and they are literally looking after the country. And even a small child in a primary school would one day want to become a participant in the building of the nation. So our young people are very proud of being Bhutanese, and they want to do something to take the country forward. Once the likes of me are gone, it is for them to take the country forward. See? And for you in Malaysia, and wherever you are in the world, whichever country you belong to, I'm sure you would like to do your part. You would like to play your part in the building of your society, in the building of your nation. There's no end to nation buildings. It is an intergenerational mission. I'm so glad that you asked this question. So to all of you in Malaysia and wherever you are, I want to say that you are the promise of the future, young people. We plan the future because of you. See. We make policies for the future thinking of you. See. You are our dreams. You are the mirror in which we see the future. As you are, so will our future be. See. If you're hardworking, if you're industrious, if you're disciplined, if you're motivated, if you're positive, if you have a dream for the future, you make the futures. You are the dream of our futures. You are the hope of our futures. We think of the future when we think of you. And when we think of you, we think of the future. You are the future, wherever you are in the world. So, you are so precious. You're precious to your parents, to your families. You're precious to your teachers. You're precious to your siblings, to your well-wishers. You're precious to your nation. And above all, you're precious to yourselves. You have to do your part. The future is you. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Let's give a round of applause to Excellency Paulo.
Thank you so much indeed.
It's such a powerful and wonderful words, like listening to poems, Excellency, that end our discussions tonight. Hopefully will leave us very touched and very moved to really carry out this agenda of Sejahtera and this Sejahtera leadership in the class. So hopefully it will serve as to how GNH have served Bhutan and motivate the world to really go towards, not against GDP, but as an alternative, as a way forward for development and growth and well-being. So with that remarks, we would like to end, unless Dr. Zoe want to say something or thank you very much from our side. Tan Sri,
maybe before Tan Sri, if I could, I would.
Well,
on my part, sorry, I mean I'm gate crashing, but I would like to thank all of you, revered Tan Sri, Dr. Zulkifli, and our very efficient moderator, the student moderators, all of you who have been a part of this conversation this evening. I'm so happy that you invited me to be a part of this very special evening. As a final message, I would like to leave with the students. That is that there are going to be challenges. The world is not perfect, as I mentioned earlier on. There are going to be moments of frustration, down moments. But one thing is so very important. There are so many important things in life, but nothing is more important and nothing is more precious than life itself. Look after your life, secure your life, celebrate your life. It is so precious. It is so precious. With all the pains, with all the bitterness, life is still beautiful. It is still precious. You have to honor it. You have to celebrate it. I wish all of you the very best in your Sejahtera journey forward. Terima kasih. Rashidile.
thank you, Excellency. We will complete tonight by some words from Tan Sri Zul himself. Please.
Absolutely, yes.
Assalamualaikum, greeting of peace. I actually do not intend to say anything after listening to your words of wisdom. I think my version is almost an anticlimax. But
How can that?
some of you insisted. I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts to participate in this very pioneering class of the Sejahtera leadership that we embark almost kind of with a lot of uncertainties, whether there'll be students to start off with. When we started, I wasn't sure that there'd be anyone enrolling in this class. But Alhamdulillah, we have got 8 and then we have got 11 now. And they've been very dedicated with us for almost 5 weeks now. We've got another 5 weeks to go. And I thought your intervention in the mid of this course is basically a booster to most of us, not only the students, but also to the staff and myself included. I think we are now being much motivated by what you have said. And moreover, myself have been to Bhutan and see what Bhutan has to offer for us. Some of the things that I saw in Bhutan is not seen anywhere in the world. It could be the most developed country, but yet Bhutan has got some very unique features that even the most developed country are not able to offer. And therefore, these are issues that I think we need to come to terms with as we look forward, particularly post-COVID, to see what sort of world are we going to develop. And I think there's an opportunity for us to actually sit down together and understand what Sejahtera is all about, given, again, what Bhutan has gone through for so many years, beginning almost from zero, beginning to a level where nobody believes you, but now Bhutan stands tall in the world today with the concept of G and H, gross national happiness. Malaysia, a country which slightly better in the case of Bhutan from development point of view, would need the same courage. If a small country like Bhutan has got this courage to move forward and change the world, then I do not know why Malaysia cannot do this. In other words, people like us, my students, and all the colleagues that I have in this university must have the same courage, must have the same humility, and must have also the same conviction that we want to move into countries like Bhutan, into a world that is new, not new in the sense that it has not been there before, but new in the sense of how do we revive it? How do we make it happen for the generations to come, given what has been happening before? And I would like also to acknowledge Ambassador Pascal, a friend which I've just met maybe some 5 hours ago, when he dropped by into this university, and we had a very deep discussion, Excellency. And also, I think there's a new partnership that we're going to have. So countries of this nature, people of this nature will help us to actually find the North Star that you spoke about and make sure that we are also on the journey towards what we think is important, not only for Malaysia, not only for Asia, but for the world and humanity at large. It is a tall order. It's a journey that all of us need to take. And I have a lot confidence with this 11, which Ali used to call the Sejahtera, future Sejahtera leaders. We do not have this breed of people. Perhaps you will be the first breed of Sejahtera leaders that will show the way. For people like us who have missed it, these are the people who will point us to the way. And I really hope that this course will bring benefit that we cannot imagine before as we embark into this journey, slowly but surely, with the support of everybody, including yourself, Excellency. So let me, on behalf of the university and my colleagues here, thank you from our bottoms of our heart. We only wish that you can fly here, or we can Zoom you here somehow or other. Maybe the technology of tomorrow will be able to do that, but we certainly want to see you face to face. In fact, we have planned last August to go to Bhutan. We've been collecting some money and wanting to visit Bhutan, but nevertheless, we need to postpone that. Maybe next year or the year after, we will be there. Otherwise, we will invite you again into Malaysia. So thanks a lot. I hope, I wish you well. I wish all our colleagues that we know well, and please send our regards to them. And we hope we will meet together. We will meet again somehow or other in one point of time. So, Assalamu alaikum. God bless and Godspeed.
Thank you very much indeed, Tanshri.
All right, with that remarks, let's close the class, and I hope this is a memorable session that we have tonight, a beginning of Dr. Zul, a beginning of a longer journey to Sejahtera to move further. Yeah, so we'd like to officially thanks the two moderators on the stage, yeah, to respond, yeah, and the students, and also Tanshri and Excellencies, and those who are in the Zoom. Yeah, let's inshallah we'll see again in the next session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera.
Sejahtera. Sudah dah.